Hi everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I am back with another review, and we are continuing our look at Transformers Collectors Club Figure Subscription Service 4.0. This is a wave of combiners, and this is Grabuge. This is supposed to be the TriggerCon Ruckus. For whatever reason, they couldn't use the name. I actually had Ruckus as a kid, and it was a neat little gimmick where you pressed a button and it was either spring-loaded or wind-up motor-powered. Guns would flip forward. It was for both robot and vehicle mode. That was really kind of handy because usually figures in that smaller price point didn't have weapons. But for the remainder of this review, I'm going to refer to this figure as Ruckus because I have no idea how to really pronounce that name. I have to say, this is the figure I was looking forward to the most and the least, because I wanted to see how well the club's use of this mold was going to stand up. And I was also afraid it was going to be a floppy mess. And I have to say, it's not. The joints are tight. The paint detail is very nice. As you can see, this is just the reuse of the straight repaint of the off-road mold. So you still have the gimmick where the limb module pegs into the back. The axe here pegs into the side. I am a little disappointed that for all the versions of this mold, and I want to say this is probably the most used mold in Combiner Wars, the axe is not painted. And I mean, the little edge here on the blade would have been nice, but what have you. But here it is. You have some nice tampograph stickers, really to recreate the original look of the figure. The paint is very bright and vibrant. I do like that. Has a nice little sheen to it. And you know, the truck still rolls, so you know, there's nothing really much to say. We've already seen this mold several times over, so we'll just go into the transformation. I want to flip that headpiece back. Now this is a little interesting. These are the tightest I've seen these arm joints, and I always recommend on this mold, but especially on this version, you want to get your thumb in there underneath the ball socket and push up and give it a little even pressure, because those shoulder joints are very tight. Now before I had this arm pop off, and no, we're good. The big thing is, of course, the hips. As I said before, I've never really had one where the hips were, I would consider them tight. I mean, you do have the issue of the legs popping apart when you separate them. Oh, everything's pegged in there. Bring the arms down, just like so. Can finish. Oh, you want to do that. Rotate the head around, and then you can just separate the shoulder panels a little to bring the arms up and around. And there you have, as I adjust the camera for you, you have Grabuge Ruckus in its robot mode. And like I said, this was a straight repaint of off-road, because originally off-road was going to be Ruckus. I'm pretty sure, if I remember the story correctly, and for whatever reason Hasbro didn't go that route. The articulation is all the same. The hips are loose, but not as loose as they've been, which I'm very relieved about, because I thought really this was going to be a floppy mess that you were just going to shove as a leg. And of course, can still hold the weapons, just like so. You can hold the limb module like that, but I usually tend to prefer pegging it into the arm like so. Now what's interesting is in the bio they refer to this as a missile launcher, which it's clearly not. It makes me kind of wonder, did they ever intend to maybe switch the limb module around and give him one of the aerial bots missile launchers, which then would have negated the vehicle integration, but who knows. So there he is. We'll pause and I'll show you how to turn it into its limb mode. Okay, so Grabuge forms a leg of Thunder Mayhem, so that's what we're going to do. Go ahead, you want to push the back part away just to give you some room to work with, and you're basically just going to return this to vehicle mode for the most part. Flip around the connector port, nice little shade of purple there, and then of course you're going to collapse the legs up, which does end up being somewhat of a problem sometimes, because those little panels are either too loose or they just stick, so you just want to then of course once you get everything in, you got to make sure you snap that back into place. I think the paint's a little thick there, so making it a little tighter, and then of course bring the arms down. Boy, those are really tight. Now that's the tightest I've ever seen. And then once you got that set up, you can push the hood back into place, bring the foot peg in, and there you go. It's a leg. You know, the knee joint is right there. I kind of knew that the club was going to do this, where it would alternate between an arm, then a leg, well, limb to limb, not the same limbs, but like, you know, one arm, then a leg, then it'll go back to another arm. And it's kind of interesting, because I think if I'm looking at the instructions right, they've gone from like the left arm to the right leg, or the right arm to the left leg. I'm sure that I'm thinking more deeply into this than anybody else has, but this is the leg, and it looks kind of cool. I'm curious to see how it'll work in the overall scheme of things, because, you know, just looking at needle nose, not a lot of gray to like help unify the color, but who knows, maybe there's something I'm missing. I was really surprised with this figure, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out. As I said in the beginning, I thought this was going to be a floppy mess of a figure, and it's not. Am I tired of the mold? Yeah. Compared to Needle Nose and the other double target masters, there's not a lot here. But it is a fun figure, and it's nice to see what I would say a close approximation of what Off-Road was originally thought designed to look like, that being the TriggerCon Ruckus. Now, a little interesting thing. The club originally said that after the first figure, it would be about 3 weeks between figures. Well, I went ahead and checked, and just by my own calculations of when I actually got the figures in hand, it's been 2 weeks. So I don't know if that means in another 2 weeks we're going to get another member of the team or not, or that's just how it works out. The way I'm kind of finding out about these is I use the My USPS dashboard, and I can see when labels are being made. And you know, the label was made last Friday, but wasn't shipped out until earlier this week. So if you have signed up for that service, you might, you know, have a little heads up if you've signed up for this subscription service. The other thing is, all figures have to be done by December 31st. That includes Figure Subscription Service 5.0, which hasn't even started shipping yet. So something tells me that the shipping time on this has been condensed, which I think is kind of good, so there's less of a wait to get these combiners together and stuff like that. Well, with all that said, Ruckus or Grabuge, however it's pronounced, is a good figure, and if you're looking to buy this on the aftermarket, if you want a complete combiner team, you definitely need it. But if you're just a fan of the Ruckus Trigger Con, this isn't a waste of money. It's your pal Chuck for Ruckus. We'll see you next time.